The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real because that's how powerful our minds are.
I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is.
Don't think, feel. It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Nick, welcome back from Turkey Day.
How you doing, bud?
Do you guys even celebrate that in South Africa? Is there any thanks at all that you guys give nationally?
No, not that I know of. I mean, there's a bunch of public holidays, but I don't.
Bunch of ingrates.
Yeah, I know, bro. It's true. I often think that that's probably why America is the biggest, or why it got to be the biggest, richest, most powerful country in the world, is because of things like Thanksgiving.
Because of so much gratitude?
Yeah, I've often thought about that. I'm sure there's a lot of, on some sort of energetic level, there's a lot of stuff going on when the whole country gets together to give thanks once a year. But who knows?
That's really excellent. I haven't never thought of it that way, but it could. I thought it was just a commercial way to sell turkeys and an excuse for just abject gluttony. But so I was thinking, and I had a question for you today. I want to know, what are you pretending not to know?
Wow, that is a phenomenal question, dude. That's your best ever, in my opinion. What am I pretending not to know? Like pretending to myself, or
yes,
that I'm gonna get old and die one day is a big one. That's a big one. I mean, one of the things that I do all the time is I pretend. It's not so much pretending as it is just filtering out, but it's something I do that just filter out a lot of the misery and it's something that has been playing on me for a long time, and that is the shocking nature of some of the aspects of life on this planet for certain people and animals. It's just, I mean, I'm in Thailand at the moment, and yesterday we went, or the day before, we went on an overnight hike to this little village, tiny little village, like 10 or 12 people, and it was built up against the mountain, and there were some elephants there that these people were in charge of, and like, it was great to see the elephant, and amazing to be out there in nature and connect with such a big, awesome animal and everything. And then, I see that the dude who's in charge of the elephant has got this thing that looked almost like a pickaxe, which is kind of what he uses to, I'm sure it's what they use to train it, and also like if the elephant gets out of hand or is not doing what the guy wants it to do, then he just gives it a little whack with that thing. And I had to actively, on that trip, I had to filter out and just pretend, okay, that's not happening, because otherwise I would have just been fucking miserable for that whole experience, and I wouldn't have been able to get the good things out of that experience. And I mean, that happens to me a lot in life. I know that eating meat, like according to everything I've studied, and all the way my body functions, like we need to eat meat. We're carnivorous, but I have to filter out what goes on in a slaughterhouse to get meat to my plate, or what it's doing to the environment, and like I have to filter that out, because otherwise it'd probably just go mad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great answer. Well, what about in terms of so you've kind of discussed the edges of diet and the edges of your place and your environment. What about professionally?
What am I pretending not to know? But if I'm honest, I don't really. I'm pretty straight up with myself and other people about most things, especially with my career. Like, um, I do make a point of being as straight up as possible. Uh, it's a tough one, man. I'm gonna pull the classic avoidance technique and turn that back on you. What are you pretending not to know? Like, that question's too good to go unanswered by Thomas.
Oh man. What am I pretending not to know? There are very few things I actually pretend to know. Um, I
Great.
think implicit in what I do in Los Angeles is a bunch of shit I'm pretending isn't affecting me. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I have to pretend that statistically, I have a much better chance than I do. You know, at all the things that I'm doing, all of my chosen endeavors are really on the scale of, on the scale of reality and plausibility and success in those chosen endeavors, whether it's, making a living as a painter, an actor, a musician, as a creative person, the chances are really, really low. I mean, they just are. It's one in, I don't even know how many that I was talking with an actor the other day about how many of us in the Screen Actors Guild don't even make enough to, qualify for the meager benefits that are there. Like, if you want to get health insurance as an actor, I think you have to make something like 65 grand a year. And I'm probably wrong on that, but it's more than like an average, more than a middle class wage, which is, if you're not a series regular, that's just a shit ton of one-off jobs.
Yeah.
That's a lot. As a personal trainer, I was told by the Yelp guy, I think I mentioned this, there are 8,000 personal trainers in LA County. Statistically, I've chosen things that are just not really easy to succeed at. So I pretend not to know those dire statistics in order to move forward. And I don't know that I like to convince myself that it's tenacity and that it's persistence, but it may be quite a bit of denial.
Yeah, but we do that in so many different ways. Um, so a couple of nights ago, actually, when I was in the jungle at this place in Thailand a couple of nights ago, we took a magic mushroom trip, or we took some magic mushrooms, me and my buddies, and we were sitting down waiting for it to come on, and when it really started to hit us, me and a buddy, a really good kid, young guy, 22, but super intelligent, we've become close friends, just a really, really cool cat. The paranoia part of the trip was kicking in, and I, like I said to him, I just said, there's just so much to process. There's so much to deal with. And I was talking about life, not specifically the mushroom trip. I was just talking about life in general. And I think he agreed with me. And where I'm going with that is that, man, there is so much going on, and you do have to be mildly delusional. I mean, it's you have to be. It's the science. The science backs this up, and that is that we are filtering reality, man. We are filtering a huge portion of it. And man, if you knew everything, if you knew about all the pathogens that were like on your skin all the time, and the statistical probability of being run over when you stepped outside, and like all the stuff that was going on, all the potential negative things and dangerous things, and like how fragile you really were, and if that was in the forefront of your mind all the time, you wouldn't be able to exist. You wouldn't. You like.
It's like the guy that could never forget. Did you read about him? He was some anomaly where he could not forget any information ever. So
that's interesting.
It was, yeah. I mean, that's the kind of shit that'll absolutely make you go crazy. I want to back up just a second because this just occurred to me as you were describing it. Did you take a heroic dose? What's known as a heroic dose? Nothing. Like half that?
I don't even know how much. It wasn't much.
Okay.
There were strong ass mushrooms, but it wasn't much. Mushrooms are a psychedelic that I'm extremely cautious with. I've been burned a couple of times, so I don't push the boat out with mushrooms.
Where I was going with that question is, do you feel like, and I don't think I ever really looked into this with guys like McKenna either, do you get to a point where it becomes so familiar and that you have control and you feel like you're progressing in taking psychedelics? Does it ever feel like you're making progress with yourself? Or does it always feel like, oh man, at a certain point, if the dose is high enough, I won't be able to control where this goes or direct?
Um, Funny that you mentioned that. I just ordered a book called the Psychedelic Explorer's Handbook, which, if I'm not mistaken, was mentioned on Tim Ferriss interviewed the author on his show, and that's how I found out about it. A friend of mine told me about it, because apparently there are certain markers and waypoints that are common to most psychedelic experiences that you can use to help with your navigation. Um, but it's been my experience, if you take large enough doses, your ego just dissolves, and any form of control or direction that you might have tried to impose upon the experience is just not possible. So I guess
Right.
the answer is yes to both of those things.
Well, I've asked a similar question about ayahuasca. I was wondering if you could ever be in control in terms of choosing how you receive benefits from the medicine. But I don't guess it's probably always way too strong for that to be the case.
Dude,
Where
there's that expression, I think I've mentioned it to you before, it's that Rolling Stones song. It's a line from the Rolling Stones song. You can't always get what you want, you get what you need. Like, you just gotta go with it, man.
let me ask you this. This just occurred to me too. Sorry. It's great to chat with you. It's been a couple weeks. In terms of pretending not to know, how does that inform the way you navigate your relationship with your intimate relationships with women? You know about the success rate of marriage. You know about the way you feel biologically. Monogamy sort of feels a little bit unnatural. Like, how you have so much information, historical information on how men and women or men get together and break up. Moving forward, it seems like you would be able to have a perfect relationship, like we all should, right? I mean, we have all the tools necessary. We have all the knowledge. We have all the information. Well, let me ask you, what do you pretend not to know in terms of the man-woman equation in order to make your relationship work or not work?
Wow. um, Man, I'm pretty open with myself about that. I know how difficult it is for a guy like you or I. I also know that two things. The first is that there is a precedent of a happy couple. It is rare, but there is a precedent. This is something that I've been focusing on a lot in life for a long time, and that is, it's just modeling, just basic neurolinguistic programming technique. Um, if I want to do something in life, I always look for the precedent, whether it's become excellent at jiu-jitsu or become good at business or have a happy relationship with my girlfriend or wife or whatever it is. I mean, I look for the precedent. Like, my mind is always like, okay, has this been done before? How difficult was it for that person to do it? How can I model that person's specific route to that destination? And I read so much. Like, I was in a relationship a long, long time ago, and it messed me up so bad that I started to read all of that manosphere stuff, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And there was some really dark stuff in that, like especially the evolutionary biology, which is basically claiming that, I mean, the score. Like, physiologically, we are not meant to be monogamous. You're designed to spread your seed, blah blah blah. And it created a filter in my mind whereby I only filtered out I only filtered I could only see the negative in relationships, and that persisted for a very long time. And it was actually, I'm realizing, Thomas, that even though there was some truth in that, it's not a healthy way to look at the world. And that just because something is natural and scientifically proven doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right course of action for human beings. Like, this I could go into this for a long time, but I think a lot of what makes us, another theme in my life now, that which my girlfriend actually, she put me onto, and that is the differences between seeking of short-term pleasure versus long-term happiness. And one usually negates the other, or compromises the other. And I realized that a lot of my issues with relationships and women came down to, and to a degree still come down to, impulse control. Literal impulse control. Like, you see a beautiful woman and then you start that cycle in your mind, it's like, oh, I wonder what she'd look like without this, and it starts that cycle. And I realized that something that plays a huge role into that, is porn, dude. Like, man, I've watched my share of porn. I'm not a porn addict. I'm not like, it's not like something that's a big part of my life, but goddamn, it's there. It's, it's there, right? Like, it's easy, there's easy access. And I noticed the strangest thing, Thomas, how it all seems to tie into like porn, impulse control, lack of self-discipline, infidelity. All those things seem to be tied together on one side of a spectrum. And discipline, a happy, stable relationship, deep joy, all seem to be on the other side of the spectrum. And at least that's kind of what I can, it's kind of my perspective at this point. And I'm trying to be someone who moves away from that side and moves more to the other side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but do you think being super happy and joyful in a deep relationship means that you can't have porn at all, or is there such a thing as porn balance?
That's a great question. A friend of mine wrote a good article on his site. The site's called Freedom and Fulfillment. If you go check it out, you can find an article on masturbation and porn, and make some very good points. I personally am of the opinion now that porn has no place in my life, dude. I don't think it's a healthy thing. I don't feel good when I watch it. I just, there's something, I don't know what it is. Like, even on like a spiritual, energetic level, there's something not good about it, dude. I can't quite pinpoint it, but there's just something not right about it. To me, at least.
Well, it's not noble, is it? It's just not very noble, and I think you would know that, like, deep in your person, in your being. It just doesn't seem like, the highest form of human beings vibrating.
Yeah,
exactly. It seems very base, and no matter how. So you don't watch any porn now at all? Zero?
It's been a while. Yeah.
So like a couple days.
Like 3 hours. It's been a few months.
Okay.
Yeah, like, and dude, when you research porn, and not that kind of research, when you
doing research,
when you look into it, man, there's a lot of evidence and a lot of studies and a lot of statistics that show that it can really destroy families and cause severe anxiety disorders and different social disorders. I mean, an anecdotal example is I have a friend who had a buddy who worked for I think it was one of the top porn sites. I can't remember which one. And his job was to vet vet the videos, like to filter out all the really bad stuff before it went on the site, right? Like the really bad stuff, like if a chick looked too underage, or if there was just some stuff that was borderline rape or whatever it was, just the really dark shit. So his job was literally sitting all day watching porn from morning to evening, right? Or like his shift. And my friend said he changed a lot. He got like really like skinny and like weird and like almost like Gollum. He said that's the best way to describe it.
Wow.
Yeah, he said he was like antisocial, and he just got kind of fucked up, bro. And when I heard that was, I mean, huge alarm bell for me. So,
well, can I ask you just one thing? I mean, I know we could really talk about porn forever, and I think we probably, should, because it's super interesting. So does that mean there's a job opening now for that? So is that job available?
Yeah, I'll put you in touch, bro. I'll put you in touch. Just say no to porn.